Okay, so this is like my 10th take on this because my lovely children keep interrupting. So, to recap, I already glued um, this ribbon, let's hope it focuses, onto the dowel. I have the ugly side on, starting on the ugly side that's going to be put into the styrofoam ball. So, you don't have to worry about how it looks. But you're going to pull it around, and you're, again, make sure all of this is glued down, not just one part of it, because you will pull it. See how that edge came this way? That's not too big of a deal, but if more of it wasn't glued down, then it would kind of make things uneven and you'll get really frustrated because it's not pulling even and it's gonna curl under itself. So wrap the ribbon around once on itself and then kind of angle it downward and make sure you pull as you're angling down. I'm gonna go ahead and just willy-nilly do it. Of course I can't do it wrong on video. If I was doing this by myself, I would have done it wrong a dozen times. But see how it kind of bows out? Let's see if I can get that well enough. So pull on the underside after you've wrapped it one good time. And then see how it kind of bubbles there? That will create a wrinkle, and if you're pretty OCD like me, it's going to be frustrating. So make sure you pull on the bottom really tight. And if you're trying to save as much ribbon as you can, like I am, because I'm a cheapo, and I don't have a whole lot of this ribbon left, so for this tutorial, I'm going to pull really, really tight and try to angle it down and see how it bubbles up. Just pull tight on that bottom and it'll seal to the dowel. If it makes it easier for you because it's so much pulling, just hot glue it as you go. But I don't like the bumps from the hot glue, so I just pull and keep going. Deal with it. Suck it up. I kind of, when I do it, I try to get as close to here as I can to save on ribbon. And I just place my thumb there as I'm moving everything around to keep that tight hold. And again, I pull on this bottom half to get rid of that bubble that will wrinkle. And then I just move it around and keep going. I may speed this part up in editing afterwards, but that's how it goes. See how I have it raised and I almost put it down and it would have wrinkled just like that. So I gotta really make sure I pull on that bottom. Don't mind my children. See how I got that wrinkle? When I tried to purposely do it, it didn't happen. When I wasn't trying to do it, it happened. I'm just going to leave that pretty little mistake just so I can continue on with the video. Now that I'm at the bottom, I personally like to go back up so that my finished part of the ribbon is still on that ugly side. So I get as close to the edge down here as I can, and I come around again. I'm not going to wrap the bottom, and I'll show you why. The way I do it, if you have a different way of wanting to do it, that's fine, but no harm, no foul. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But I like to just cut a piece of ribbon and hot glue it to the bottom, and then I burn the sides. And I'll show you. It sounds crazy, but it's really not that bad. Hopefully I have enough ribbon to do this. I have just enough to make it to the top. Not all the way, but okay, so just so it doesn't get annoying, I'm going to trim the feather off the end of this ribbon. Okay. So now I'm going to hot glue this piece on so that it doesn't come undone, of course. If you're scared to touch the ribbon over the glue, you can use scissors or anything else that'll help you, but I kind of just give it a second and then I go. Even though this piece, this side is going to be in the bouquet, if it really bothers you, you can just trim that. This was the end of my ribbon, so it's kind of all crazy. And then you can also burn it where you cut it. If it wasn't the end of your ribbon, you may want to do this too, but very carefully burn the end of your ribbon. Let me see if I can get those frills on there. So that those frills aren't there and it's flush with your cut line. So very closely, you'll see it melt. That's all you'll need. And it's not charred or anything. See if I can get this to focus. There we go. See? No more frill. It won't come undone. So, because I ended my ribbon so low, it may not, this part may show, but usually it won't. And my little wrinkle is covered for the most part because I went back up. But usually if you don't allow the wrinkle, then it won't be there. So, that's our handle. Actually, one second. Okay, so I went and I cut a piece of other ribbon that I have. It's not the same color, but this bouquet is just for the tutorial anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to hot glue this little patch of ribbon. I probably could have cut less, but whatever. And I'm going to glue it this way onto the handle. And this is the bottom piece. This is not the piece that's going into the styrofoam. So make sure you're aware of that before you glue it on, which side is actually your bottom of the handle. So I've got my glue on there. Also, because I didn't have enough ribbon for the handle, I didn't make sure that I wrapped close enough to the edge down here, and you'll see that when I show you this piece. So make sure you get the bottom very well, because that's going to be your pretty side, the side that's showing. I'm going to go ahead and pause this while I cut it. Just cut around, circle, primary school stuff. You got this. Okay, so now that I've cut around, it looks disgusting, but there we go. Now I can burn it so that it doesn't look so bad. You'll want to cut as close as you can. See, I didn't get the whole edge, but on this side I did. I was just trying to rush to save ribbon. So, but you'll want to cut as close as you can so that when you burn it, you don't have too much to burn and then it looks all charred and weird. So, but you'll just carefully burn the edges around. So, ta-da! It's not a pretty circle, but it's there. I also cut that really ugly, so you could see the frill there still, right here. But I mean, usually when it's the same color as the handle, it's not even noticeable. So that's the bottom piece. If you want to do it a different way, like I said, no harm, no foul. That's just the way I did it. I found it much easier than trying to come around the bottom. I'm not really sure how to do it. So next we have the ball. So this part will not take long at all if you use the same thing I'm using, but if you're using real flowers, you probably don't want to use this for real flowers. But, you'll want to, or paper flowers, you could probably just glue it on. Whatever your poison is, pick your poison. I used 14 pink flowers on this 3-inch ball with 5 gray flowers, so 19 total. You might be able to fit a little bit less or a little bit more depending on how you place the flowers, and you'll see what I mean. So with these that are going to be in the description, they can poke through this part of the flower, so you have to be careful, and I kind of just like pinch the flower there when I go to push it through, and I just push it through. Ta-da. Very easy, simple. I don't have to pre-paint the ball ahead of time. You won't see any gaps as long as you put enough flowers. So once you have placed the flower and you have your top, you can either choose to go ahead and pre-push a hole for your handle, and this way you know where you're going with it. Or, and you'll want to make sure it's nice and even. Right, and you don't have to push too far in. It is a smaller ball, but I'd say about that much is good. I might be able to measure that for y'all, but so I left my measuring tape across the room, but it's about that much in. So you'll cover maybe like an inch or so of the handle. So you put that in, and if you have to readjust your flower because your handle wasn't as perfect as you wanted, you can do that because all you did was stab it in. If you want to glue it in for a more permanent effect, you can. But I like to do this part first before I go gluing the handle in, because then that's it. All that work was done for no reason. So, so I just stabbed the flowers in. That's it. I kind of did like a soccer ball thing with the other ones. I put a gray flower on top, and then I put the pink flowers around it. It's kind of like a circle ball design. I don't know, that's how I thought about it. So you can rearrange it, push it down how you need, angle it up more to cover any gaps. They're very easy to work with. If you prefer to paint the ball, just in case there are gaps, you can. You can paint it pink, you can paint it gray, you can paint it whatever your pretty little heart desires, but there you go. Just go all the way around. This part is the quickest and the easiest part. I'm not really making a design here, I'm just shoving the flowers in. And I'll count these afterwards to see how many I've added in. Just make sure it's still 19 for a 3-inch ball, but that is what I used, so it can be done when I did the wedding for my mother-in-law. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably should have counted before I did all this. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got 15 on so far. 16, 17, 18, 19, and I have this tiny little gap, so I'll probably just put this little guy in there. Boom. So there we have it. Right? So now we can glue our handle in. And I'm just going to put some hot glue in there. Nothing crazy. You could either put it in the hole, or you can even just, I might just do that, just put it on the handle. I put a big glob on there. See if I can get that to focus. Giant glob. Press it in for a second. Voila, you have your bouquet. The bottom's a little uneven, so I may just rearrange the flowers. Again, you could just play with it to get it to show how you need it to. Not so uneven now. I think this part looks hideous. I could have totally done better, but whatever. You could even just leave it bare. Gives it kind of a natural look, but that is the bouquet. And if you want to add ribbons with the names on it, I can show you how to do that really quick. So I'm actually going to leave it bare. I kind of like it like that. And I did not use this thick of a ribbon for adding the names. It's really up to you and what you like, but I think I used a 1-inch ribbon, or the closest to 1-inch ribbon. And then I put my everyday iron on. I ironed it on, and I used the, let me double check, polyester setting. I put that my base material was polyester because it was mixed with polyester and something else. But I cut a little slit at the end of my ribbon. Nothing crazy. And then I pretend there's words on it. Took one of the flowers off of the stem, like that. And then I put hot glue on the base down here. And then I'll go ahead and do it. Just a little dab, nothing crazy. And then I put this over that stem. Just press the ribbon down, like that. And then I just put another dab of glue on top, same way I did before. Just a small little glob. And then I put the flower on so it stays on. So the ribbon is secured in there. So you'll want to keep in mind when you're putting your iron onto the ribbon that you leave plenty of slack before the wording so that it's not covered up by the flowers. Make sure you measure out how far out the flowers come so that you can do that, because I did do that to mine. So anyway, this is how you make a bouquet. I did have brooches on my other one, and that's simple. I don't have any spare ones, but you just put hot glue where you want it or on the brooch itself, and then you just plop it on and it's good to go. So ta-da!